A teacher drank liquor, swore at the students, and did the Macarena in class. Chuck E. Cheese is going to be opening arcades for adults, and the Jonestown Massacre site is going to reopen as a tourist destination. These are all of the weird segments for today's episode of Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in the galaxy. A teacher is in trouble for drinking alcohol in class and doing the Macarena, and I'll just tell you right up top, I'm absolutely shocked and disgusted by this teacher's behavior. Who in their right mind would voluntarily do the Macarena during daylight hours? I mean, something's obviously wrong with this woman. Think of the children, honey. The children. This teacher has been banned from classrooms in Wales after a tribunal. Oh, she had to go before a tribunal like it's medieval times. I would never want to go before a tribunal because I'd be afraid that one of my penalties would be being dunked in the dunk tank. Apparently this teacher got drunk in class and started swearing at the students. Kind of understandable. I mean, given the level of stress that being a teacher right now brings, and they don't pay them very much, so in the whole spectrum of teacher behavior that I've covered on Weird AF News, this isn't so bad. I mean, she didn't run a fight club or get pregnant by one of the students, so it was rather tame as far as contemporary teacher discretions go. Again, they don't pay them very much, and you know the saying, when you pay bananas, you get monkeys. This woman's name is Alice Ashton. She taught at the Isgolbro... Oh my goodness, I don't even know how you say this. Isgolbro Carinian near Welsh Pool, Powys? P-O-W-Y-S is a place. Powys? I'll just call it Powys. Help! I called the police. This teacher swigged alcohol from an Evian bottle, so it's probably vodka or gin. It's a good choice. It's not my beverage of choice. If I was in charge of teaching 40 little demons, I would go with the coffee and bourbon in the coffee. That's just me. It says here that Alice Ashton, the teacher's lesson, quote, spiraled out of control and turned into a mini rave with loud music, shouting, and dancing. One of the 16-year-old students told the media that she also swore, calling the whole class little SHITS's. Another student gave evidence in person saying that Miss Ashton drank orange liquid which smelled of alcohol while playing music from her laptop. The student said that fellow classmates discussed afterwards how strange the teacher's behavior had been. She said that the teacher had taught her, quote, boring PSE numerous times before and were usually about alcohol and drug awareness. However, not on this particular day. The pupil said she had been sitting in the front row of the class and could smell the alcohol from the Evian water bottle filled with the orange liquid. The orange liquid, I wonder what that was. Probably like some Mad Dog 2020. You guys recall that tasty beverage? That little pregame in a bottle? Good times. Yeah, it's from the 90s, which is from when the Macarena's from. So perhaps this teacher was just sort of introducing the students to some 90s pop culture that day. Some teachers teach from books, others teach from the streets. It says in the hearing, that student said the bottle of orange liquid at the start of the lesson was full, but by the end was almost empty. The pupil went on to say, quote, she was very, very close to us. There was a slight alcoholic smell. She was very, very lively and quite animated and speaking with her hands. In previous lessons, she was much more reserved and quiet. At one point, she asked the entire class to do this dance called the Macarena. She played the music, and we weren't doing much work. We were learning the Macarena. Hey, man, I didn't learn the Macarena in school. I learned square dancing. Anybody else had to suffer through this whole square dancing thing? In the United States, they teach you square dancing in school for some reason. I don't know if they do it anymore, but I had to learn that stupid dance in the gymnasium. The only thing I liked about it was I got to dance with some girls, which was fun. By the way, do you know why we teach square dancing in the U.S.? It's because Henry Ford was a racist, basically. And he had a very unreasonable and paranoia of jazz music and would do anything in his power to steer the kids away from jazz music, even if it meant forcing them to learn square dancing, which is what happened. In the hearing, it was also told that one pupil was walking around the classroom annoying other students when the teacher told him to leave, but, quote, not to snitch. The pupil then claimed, quote, she began to swear at him. She put her middle finger 2 to 3 inches from his face and continued to swear at him. Another student claimed, quote, she got us to dance the Macarena and she did not care about the lesson anymore. She got some students dancing to the laptop and speakers and it really spiraled out of control. It sounds like a great afternoon to me, and if I was a student, I would never have snitched on this woman. I would have hit that bottle and I would have attempted the Macarena with the utmost enthusiasm and joy for the learning experience. It's all about the learning experience. Now, the teacher apparently didn't show up to the hearing, but a presenting officer representing her said that she claims she did not swear nor sing to the class whatsoever. However, CCTV footage of the lesson was totally at odds with her denials. Oh boy, cameras in the classroom. I mean, this was all done with cameras in the classroom. You can't get away with anything like this. There's cameras everywhere. You got to be careful. A representative from the school, in fact, says, according to the CCTV footage, the evidence is very clear that Miss Ashton did not remain at the front of the class whatsoever and that she invited pupils to dance. Furthermore, it was somehow proven that she appeared under the influence and or smelt of alcohol whilst at work. She has been struck off the teaching register indefinitely, but may reapply in 2 years. So I guess she's been fired. Well, I guess it's OnlyFans in 3, 2, 1. Well, it sounds like we lost another good soldier here in the in the Department of Education. There's so many. There's just so many class acts. I don't know how you guys are having babies. I say this again and again. Crazy. Oh, there's a photo of her. She's actually quite lovely, except for, well, I mean, you can't see it, but I'd say her eyebrows are her greatest crime against humanity. Eyebrows, more like Y-brows. Chuck E. Cheese is opening arcades for adults. So I'm guessing what? Slot machines and strippers? What? For adults. Is Chuck E. Cheese going to be in a bikini? You know, tap into that furry market. Are you guys familiar with Chuck E. Cheese? It's this child's arcade gaming place where a lot of birthday parties take place and a lot of adults punch each other out. This story is about the arcade chain opening a spin-off aimed at adults. It's called Chuck's Arcade. Is Chuck going to do shots with us? That sounds like a good time. I've never taken shots with a rodent before. The company describes this as a modern-day love letter to the games and people who made Chuck E. Cheese great. Similar to the kiddie version, Chuck's Arcade has a mix of nostalgic arcade games like Donkey Kong and Mortal Kombat, but also newer titles such as Halo and Connect 4 Hoops. Plus, each arcade is overseen by one of the chain's iconic animatronic characters, including Chuck E. Cheese himself or other characters from his Munch's Make-Believe band. So it sounds like they're going to keep the animatronics. I would have thought they would have included some sex robots. After all, it's an adult version, but I digest. 10 of these locations, Chuck's Arcade, are open so far at malls across the U.S. I'm surprised. I've never heard of this. Arcades in St. Petersburg, Florida, Tulsa, Oklahoma, El Paso, Texas, and St. Louis, among others. Each location looks different, decorated with original artwork that celebrates the brand's past. Of course, there will also be prizes for adults to win. Ooh, great. Adult prizes like lighters and lube. Maybe like a bottle of Hendrix's gin and some edibles. You just won brass knuckles. Congratulations. You're really good at skee-ball. It says some of these locations will serve food, with the Kansas City location having a pizzeria that also serves a small selection of beer and wine. They should all be serving pizza and food, along with beer and wine and even the hard stuff. It's for adults after all. Have you been to a Dave & Buster's or any of these adult arcades? You have to have a bar, a full bar, if you want to compete in this niche, in my opinion. In this story, we have the CEO of Chuck E. Cheese named David McKillips. He makes a lot of money peddling rat-served pizza. It's a very strange position to be in life. He said the spinoff is a natural evolution for the company following the remodel of its 500 locations and sees it as an opportunity to extend our arcade legacy into new formats that engage both lifelong fans and a new generation through a curated mix of retro classics and cutting-edge experiences. Sounds to me like a company's on the verge of bankruptcy, if I'm being honest. I mean, it says here the company's expansion comes 5 years after it filed for bankruptcy during the height of COVID-19. Oh, they did already file bankruptcy, but they're back, baby. There's one in my neighborhood. I've never been in, but the parking lot's always empty, so I just thought they were going out of business or they had gone out of business. It says here Chuck E. Cheese spent $350 million in remodels over the past few years, as well as introducing new pricing tiers to attract budget-focused families. The launch of Chuck's Arcade comes amid troubles for its chief rival, Dave & Buster's. The latter is publicly traded and recently reported a 9% decline in same-store sales. Looks like Dave & Buster's is on the verge of bankruptcy as well. Turns out charging people $50 to play video games for an hour is not a good business model. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see if this plays out for Chuck's Arcade. If it goes well, I'm sure they'll be opening one near you as well. I guess we'll find out if this leads to an increase or decrease in the number of adults punching each other out. There's some questions that aren't answered in this article. For instance, are they going to keep the ball pit for the adults so that they have a place to throw up in and take a nap? But regardless, you should know that if you visit Chuck's Arcade for adults, what happens in the slide tube stays in the slide tube. The Jonestown Massacre site is going to be reopening as a tourist destination. A South American tour group is turning Jonestown, Guyana, into a travel destination over 4 decades after it was the scene of the most notorious mass suicide and murder in modern history. The first group of tourists is already scheduled to visit the site in the rural interior of Guyana. For the price of $650 USD, they'll have an overnight experience that is intended to provide a deeper understanding of the tragedy. Well, I mean, my first thought is this seems in bad taste. No pun intended. But you can't stop dark tourism. It's a money-making thing. There was even a show called Dark Tourism, and I met the host. His name is David something. He's I think he's Australian. I met him at a party in Hollywood once. Really nice guy. And I had already seen the show. I actually kind of liked it because I like weird stuff like that. He visited the Chernobyl zone. Was it Chernobyl or the one in Japan? I think it was the one in Japan. Maybe he went to both. But people are into this. They want to stay at the Lizzie Borden house, where those murders took place. They want to go to Ground Zero in Manhattan. There's a memorial there. And I mean, you can have a tour guide take you through the JFK assassination area in Dallas as well. This is a thing. I blame the Titanic, to be honest. If that movie didn't make as much money as it did, nobody would be doing this. And no foolish people would have had to have died on a very, very, very poorly built submarine fairly recently. Now, in this article, they've interviewed Rosalind, who's the owner and founder of Wanderlust Adventures. She says, "The thing is, Jonestown remains a tragic part of Guyana's history, but it is also an event of global significance. It offers critical lessons about cult psychology, manipulation, and the abuse of power." With the support of the Guyanese government, Rosalind will take small tour groups to what was once Jonestown, a commune settled by the Reverend Jim Jones and hundreds of his followers. It was the site of the 1978 Jonestown Massacre. In case you don't know, never heard of it, you're living under a rock. What took place was more than 900 people, including hundreds of children, dying after Jim Jones ordered them to drink cyanide mixed with fruit-flavored beverage. This guided tour will take travelers from the city of Georgetown to the Port Kaituma Airport, where, on the day of the massacre, U.S. Representative Leo Ryan and 2 members of an NBC News crew, reporter Don Harris and cameraman Bob Brown, were among those shot and killed as they tried to board their plane home. All right, I'm not going to go into further details of what happened. You don't need to hear this, and it's not going to make your day any better. But it says, despite the rise in popularity of dark tourism, a term describing travelers visiting locations associated with death and tragedy, Some in Guyana are skeptical about the tour that will take visitors to such a morbid site. Yeah, some skeptical? Of course, goes without saying. Many are probably skeptical. However, Rosalind says, tourists from around the world pay to see these sites like Chernobyl in Ukraine, Ground Zero in New York, and the former Nazi concentration camps in Poland as well. She says these sites attract visitors not to dwell on tragedy, but to understand the events, honor those affected, and ensure that such histories are neither repeated nor forgotten. Well, I get the forgotten part, but you can't really guarantee that these things aren't repeated because we have such short memories. Anyways, I don't see us learning many lessons from history. Otherwise, we wouldn't be behaving as we are currently. Or, I guess I'm speaking for the United States where I'm a citizen currently. One could make the argument regarding this Jonestown massacre tourist destination that they should, out of respect, sort of pull it back a little bit. Maybe, I'm not saying have nothing there, but, they have a museum at Auschwitz, a museum, are people taking overnight stays and tours? And, I don't believe so. So, I don't know. What do you think? You think a dark tourism experience like the Jonestown massacre is okay? Would you do it? Email me, funnyjones@gmail.com. I want weird news. I want weird news. Were you singing with me? Were you singing along? You don't have to sing along. I'm just grateful that you're here spending this time with me and the Weird AF News podcast. Appreciate you. Just a heads up, tomorrow's Friday, so we'll be doing the Florida Friday episode. So if you come across any weird news from Florida from the week, please email me, funnyjones@gmail.com, or slide them into my DMs on Instagram at funnyjones. I would appreciate that. Appreciate all your assistance. So thank you. Appreciate your assistance, as they say. If you would like to support the show, please consider telling a friend. Recommend the podcast. Doesn't cost you a dang thing. It's going to be 4th of July weekend. You'll probably be at a barbecue or 4. That'd be nice. Maybe the topic of podcasts comes up between you and your friends and family. Please take a moment to recommend Weird AF News, especially to people that could use a little laugh in their life. The mainstream news anyways can be a bit debilitating these days, as you know. So why not end your news feed with some Weird AF News? You learn a little bit about the weird world around you, and maybe you get a laugh or two, or maybe no laughs. I don't know. The least we can say about this is I'm mildly amusing. So that's I'll take it. Anyways. I have a website, weirdafnews.com, where you can go and join the Patreon, do some other things if you're into that. But anyways, I'll just see you tomorrow for the Florida Friday episode, and good luck with your life, man.